as Democratic and Republican lawmakers are deeply divided over the attack on Iran. Congress is expected to vote on war powers later this week, with the Senate vote coming as soon as Tuesday. Israeli military has reportedly struck a building housing the Al Manar Channel studios in Beirut's southern suburbs, following an evacuation warning. The Israeli military says it targeted Hezbollah command centers and weapons storage facilities in Beirut. The strike follows Hezbollah missile and drone attacks on northern Israel, prompting waves of Hezbollah airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs and southern Lebanon. In a statement early Tuesday, Hezbollah described its firing of rockets as a reaction to Israeli aggression. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry says the U.S. embassy in Riyadh was hit by 2 drones. It said the drone attack resulted in limited fire and material damage. Previous reports said loud explosions were heard in Riyadh's diplomatic quarter. A senior Iranian military advisor says the country's armed forces will not let any oil be exported through the Strait of Hormuz. The advisor said the country's armed forces will take action against any movement by oil tankers through the strait. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it launched 26 drones and 5 ballistic missiles at U.S. military targets in the Gulf region on Monday. A U.S. federal appeals court has rejected a request by the administration of President Donald Trump to delay the start of the tariff refund process. The development came after the Supreme Court invalidated most of the tariffs in February. The mandate paves the way for the U.S. Court of International Trade to begin crafting relief measures for businesses that successfully challenge the global tariffs. And that's the news. I'm Do Hongyu.
Keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable. If you think that the Chinese New Year ends when the fireworks stop, you would be mistaken. The real finale comes with the first full moon. Lanterns light the streets, families gather, traditions run deep, but now technology is crashing the party. What happens when ancient festival meets modern world? After that, a new demographic is reshaping the study abroad landscape. China's retirees. These silver-haired learners are enrolling in overseas programs not for degrees, but for the pure joy of discovery. We'll look at what this growing market means for the future of international education. We're live from our studios in Beijing. This is Roundtable. I'm Steve. Hello there. Thanks for being with us today. And for the show, I'm with Feifei and Yushan. First up, the Chinese New Year ends when the fireworks fade, right? Nope, you're wrong. The holiday doesn't truly wrap up until the first full moon rises on the calendar, and that is when it's Lantern Festival time. Oh, the streets are flooded with the beautiful lanterns. Laughter fills the air, and there are festivals galore. It is a centuries-old tradition built on togetherness and light, but it's getting a bit of a glow-up. This year, the lanterns, traditionally done with paper and other products, are now seeing some high-tech advancements. We're going to discuss all of that. It is Lantern Festival time. Yushan and Feifei, good afternoon to you both. I was watching videos yesterday. I've never been to a festival before, like a full-on festival. Everywhere is decorated with lanterns. But these festivals look like they are absolutely worth visiting, that is for sure. We're going to talk about a couple of different examples, but maybe we can start with a little bit of background.
Yeah, sure. Today is the Lantern Festival. It's also known as Yuan Xiaojie or the Shangyuanjie. It falls on the 15th day of the first month on the Chinese calendar, and also this day is the first full moon of the year. So in ancient Chinese, night was called Xiao. Yuan can also mean the beginning of something, hence the name Yuan Xiao, as in Yuan Xiaojie, or the first moon night. So that's a nationwide celebration that's also marking the time that we wrap up the Chinese New Year season, the holiday season. I don't know how I feel about that. It feels like the past New Year season has been like a dream. That's so true. That feels so true. But yeah, here we go. We're wrapping it up officially.
Feels so far away now. Huh? This goes back to, the Han Dynasty, I guess, right?
More than 2,000 years ago. But the traditions, I would say, somewhat
stayed very similar over the past 2,000 years. It's basically admiring a lot of lanterns, going to fairs, eating sticky rice balls, and so on and so forth. And also, for example, this year, they are also hanging up a lot of lanterns that people gather around in parks and also in homes, in streets and shopping malls. And sometimes there are riddles made into that lanterns. Yeah. And people, trying to crash those riddles is also one part of the activities that we do during the Lantern Festival.
So I heard about this last year. So you might find this in a park, for example, and there will be a riddle master there, and the riddle master is typically an older man. And then this is what I learned last year. Correct me at any time. So the riddle master is in the park, for example, and near the riddle master will be some lanterns, and there will be some papers hanging off the lantern, and that is the riddle.
Yeah.
And then you take that paper and you go to the riddle master, and if you can get the answer correct,
You get a small prize.
a new electric vehicle or something
Oh
like
my
that.
goodness.
Just kidding.
That's true.
Yeah, right. A little tiny prize, yeah.
Yeah, also this time last year, I learned about how the Lantern Festival is closely related to another idea of the Chinese Valentine's Day, Because traditionally people believe that the Qixi, or the double seventh day that usually falls on the 7th day of July, to be the traditional Chinese Valentine's Day, given the mythology that goes with it. But unlike Qixi, where women are the main participants in activities such as, praying for very clever handicraft skills, the Lantern Festival, now that we're talking about it, is when unmarried young men and women go out to admire lanterns, to do what you just mentioned, Steve, guess out the riddles and meet with each other and chat with each other and have fun and form romantic connections together.
So is this the unofficial Valentine's Day in China?
It's not the official.
Oh, really?
Yeah, according to traditions, apparently.
Oh, what? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, these lanterns are absolutely gorgeous, and the atmosphere looks very romantic. So,
and also, after guessing the riddles, you start to build on, you start to bond, and one thing led to another.
what happens if you get the riddle wrong?
Well, it doesn't really matter, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just to celebrate and have fun.
See, so if I'm a single guy, I'm going to the park early, and I'm bribing the riddle master to give me the answer so I can look good on that date.
I'm
right?
sure people do that.
Yeah, probably. So this is a rare. So something's happening in the sky as well during the Lantern Festival. So this is going to be today a rare total lunar eclipse. It's coinciding with the Lantern Festival. So the moon is going to disappear for about an hour before reappearing as a deep red blood moon. And this will be the only total lunar eclipse of the year. I was curious about this. I don't know if I've seen a blood moon before, but this is going to be apparently the last blood moon until New Year's Eve 2028, at least according to a couple of different media outlets. And there are some various live streams on the internet if you're curious. I think they're starting at around 5:30 p.m. today. As a matter of fact, if you wanna check out this very impressive moon. So that's kind of cool. That adds to the romantic aspect of the day, I think.
Yeah, and also it's also very rare because the next time that we get the chance to actually see another blood moon would be 2072, 50 years from now. That is to collab that astrological view with Lantern Festival.
Hopefully we'll still be doing roundtable at that time. All right, so we've got the romantic historical vibes happening on the day. We've got the astronomical phenomenon too. But how is the holiday, the Lantern Festival, typically celebrated? And maybe more how it's celebrated this year. It's going to be a little bit different this time around.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Lantern Festival, so we got to have Lantern Fair. That's always one of the most representative celebrations during this festival.
And these things happen all across the country.
All
right?
across the country. For example, if you look at places like Zigong, which is in southwest China, Sichuan province, then that place is known as the City of Lanterns and also the home to one of the most representative lantern fairs in China. So picture this, hundreds of giant lanterns lanterns lighting up the night, some of them towering several stories high and stretching across huge themed zones. You turn one corner and suddenly you're in the middle of an ancient Chinese legend, glowing in color and light, and if you walk a little bit further, and then there is the massive dinosaur lantern, because Zigong is also known for its fossil heritage discovered locally. So that's such a colorful picture that I remember seeing a video from that lantern fair. And then there are also AI-powered interactive displays where kids, they can literally talk to digital creatures, as in talk to the lanterns, I would imagine. And families, they can also travel there and get into the immersive light world that almost feel like a dream and more like stepping into an active live action fantasy film. I can't describe it because it's too visual.
Yeah.
I hope what I describe is sufficient.
I'm glad you said that, how visual it is, because before I watched a video yesterday. Somebody was in Zigong for the festival, and I think they were from the UK, and they were completely blown away by this. And I felt what they were feeling, even though I wasn't there. When you think, or when you hear Lantern Festival, and you're not familiar with this aspect of Chinese culture, you might think, oh, okay, you walk down a street and there's like some lamps hanging or something. No, it's not that at all. I'll give you an example. There's a fiery phoenix. This is from the People's Daily. There's a fiery phoenix lantern. I think this is in Zigong right now. It's pieced together from 15,000 red chili peppers. Yeah, and 46,000 recycled medicine bottles. And it's huge, and it's so extremely colorful. And it looks like you're walking in the middle of a dream when you're at this particular festival. And you might argue all of these festivals, they're just stunning. And I know that probably doesn't do it justice either, but I just want people to know it's way, way, way more impressive than you might realize.
हेलो जयपुर सुन रहे हैं आप ओनली ऑन 101.2 FM, जयपुर का अपना FM, और मैं हूं आपका रेडियो मित्र साकेत आपके साथ। अब बात करते हैं आपकी है ऐसा कोई प्रेम बात खाने चाहिए।
आऊं तो सुबह जाऊं तो मेरा नाम सबा लिखना, बर्फ पड़े तो बर्फ।
ऐसे भी होते हैं जो शरीर की सेहत को नुकसान पहुंचा सकते हैं और हमारी हेल्थ के लिए अच्छे नहीं होते, जिससे डाइजेस्टिव प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकती है, पाचन संबंधी समस्या जिसे हम कहते हैं पेट फूलना, इनडाइजेशन की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, जिन्हें साथ में नहीं खाना चाहिए। क्या क्या है वो फूड कॉम्बिनेशन, आइए।
That special exhibition, it's like
संतरा, नींबू, अभी संतरे भी बहुत आ रहे हैं। इनमें क्या होता है, एसिड होता है। अगर इसे दूध पीने के तुरंत बाद खाया जाएगा तो जो एसिड इनमें होता है वो हमारे बॉडी के अंदर दूध को फाड़ सकता है, जी हाँ, और पाचन संबंधी समस्या भी पैदा कर सकता है। इसलिए इन्हें साथ खाना अवॉइड करें। आफ्टर सम गैप आप खा सकते हैं, और कभी भी लंच डिनर के तुरंत बाद कोई फल नहीं खाएं। दरअसल भोजन के जरिए हम पहले ही शरीर में काफ़ी सारी कैलोरीज ले चुके होते हैं, और वो पचाए बिना अगर हम तुरंत फल खा लेते हैं तो शरीर को एक्स्ट्रा कैलोरी इंटेक झेलना पड़ता है और डाइजेशन में प्रॉब्लम होती है, शरीर को ज़्यादा काम करना पड़ता है। एंड थर्ड एंड लास्ट, चीज़ फूड लाइक पिज्ज़ा, बर्गर, पास्ता। मुँह में पानी आ गया ना मेरे भी। इन्हें आप ठंडी ठंडी कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स के साथ ना लें। बिल्कुल आई नो कि बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं खाने में, पिज्ज़ा, बर्गर, कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स हो साथ में। मैं समझ सकता हूँ बच्चों को थोड़ा सा बुरा लग रहा होगा, बट ये आपकी हेल्थ के लिए अच्छा नहीं है। इससे आपको पेट दर्द की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है, और आज के टाइम में आफ्टर कोविड हेल्दी रहना बहुत ही ज़रूरी है। फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी हेल्दी रहना, मेंटली और फिजिकली, और इसका आप ध्यान रखिए। मस्त रहिए, खुश रहिए। और अब ये बैक टू बैक एनर्जी वाले गाने सुनिए, क्योंकि अब से थोड़ी ही देर में स्टार्ट होगा आप सभी का फेवरेट आर हेलो फरमाइश, जहां गाने वही जो आपका दिल चाहे। यू से इट, वी प्ले इट। सुनते जाओ, सुनाते जाओ, संग हमारे गुनगुनाते जाओ।
कृपया ध्यान दें, होली खेलते समय रेलगाड़ी के डिब्बों पर रंग, गुब्बारे या अन्य कोई भी वस्तु न फेंकें।
इससे लोको पायलट, ट्रेन मैनेजर व यात्री चोटिल हो सकते हैं एवं रेल संचालन में बाधा भी उत्पन्न हो सकती है।
ऐसा करना कानूनी अपराध है और इसके लिए आपको सजा या जुर्माना भी हो सकता है।
होली स्नेह और सौहार्द का त्योहार है, इसे सुरक्षित एवं शांतिपूर्वक तरीके से मनाएं।
उत्तर पश्चिम रेलवे द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
पशुपालक भाइयों एवं बहनों, खुरपका मुंहपका रोग एफएमडी गौ एवं भैंस वंशीय पशुओं में तेजी से फैलने वाली गंभीर संक्रामक बीमारी है। इससे बचाव का सबसे सुरक्षित उपाय है समय पर टीकाकरण। खुरपका मुंहपका रोग से बचाव के लिए हर 6 माह के अंतराल पर नियमित टीकाकरण अवश्य करवाएं। पशुपालन विभाग द्वारा यह टीका निःशुल्क लगाया जाता है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने के पशु चिकित्सालय या पशु चिकित्सा उप केंद्र से संपर्क करें। पशुपालन विभाग राजस्थान द्वारा जनहित में प्रसारित।
आप सुन रहे हैं हेलो जयपुर 101.2 FM जयपुर का आमिर चैनल, आमिर चैनल, आमिर चैनल, आमिर चैनल।
And experiencing the changing of seasons of the old city and how you can sort of seeing the 4 seasons within one touch. Lovely. Really, this might sound like I'm segueing away from Lantern Festival, but I'm really surprised also by how museums are advancing themselves nowadays in order for it to become a place not just to exhibit, but also to experience, but also for its visitors to really get immersive with what they're trying to promote, either locally or based on certain themes. So back in the past 2 weeks, me and my boyfriend, we went to multiple museums, but the best experience-wise is the Capitol Museum here in Beijing because it offered free booking. You can just land there and enter after security check, of course. And then there's one-of-a-kind kind of exhibition that features temple fair in Beijing and Hebei and in the municipality of Tianjin. That's something new I've even never have seen before. Apart from the usual temple fair equipments showcasing how temple fairs were like 100, 200 years ago here in Beijing, they also record from local temple fairs perhaps from decades ago to showcase just what people are yelling, what are they selling. You can just pull in and listen to the celebration vibe from across time.
Oh, that's cool.
That's like a time capsule inside the museum. So really great jobs for these museums.
And then walk outside and catch a drone show because drones are now, I think in many parts of the world, and it's true here in China too, the fireworks performances are aplenty perhaps during the New Year's time. But drones are now oftentimes replacing fireworks in a lot of different cities. And these are just as impressive, the drone shows, well, if not, in my opinion, more impressive.
Yeah, and also they are basically everywhere, especially during a holiday season like the Chinese New Year, like the Lantern Festival, and also it can be part of the corporate events and even private celebrations, because the visual that it brought to people upon the sky. For example, in Taiyuan, which is also in the province of Shanxi, the thousands of drones rise simultaneously to create iconic Shanxi cultural symbols in the night sky and attract a lot of visitors. And also when we are talking about drone performances, I can't stop thinking about the city of Chongqing because it has world record level scale of drone shows. I think in the documentary talked about how they incorporated 5,000 of drones to put on a display in the night sky, and how I think during the Chinese New Year holiday, put up on a show every day, every night in
Oh,
the
wow.
city of Chongqing for 15 minutes.
And that was the other video that I watched yesterday. I did a whole deep dive on this festival and on the drone shows. I didn't know this before. I've seen drones before, drone shows before. I think on a smaller scale, and I never kind of put any thought into, where are these drones coming from, or how is their battery life, or things like that. The video that I watched was from Chongqing, and it was what was his title? It was something like Drone Flight Path Coordinator, or
Like the planner for this event.
the event planner, essentially, yeah. And he was explaining how the whole operation works. So it was next to an area of water in Chongqing, and that's where the drone show takes place. But next to the area of water, you have the landing pads, if you want to call them, for the drones, and there are also the recharging stations. So in one, they put them all on the ground. It looks like a computer chip almost, thousands of these things. And in one pack, there was 6 drones, and there's a battery that gets inserted into that pack. So that means that the drones can take off, do their thing, come back and charge. Take off, do their thing, come back and charge, simply by landing on the pack. And they can recharge 3 times for one particular show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty cool, right? I didn't know about that.
I think I also watched another video, on drone shows, is how do you coordinate it? 5,000 or thousands of them in one go. So apparently you take advantage of, for example, satellites and other connection network technologies.
Like GPS coordinates?
Yeah. So that they also have, apart from the drones, they also need some sort of signal equipment by the side of it. And also they need to shield away some of the interference coming from other wireless technologies to make sure that these drones are sort of communicating with the planner and also communicating with each other without interference. And that's really, that only reminds me that I didn't realize having a drone show with thousands of these little flyers is such a complicated task.
Yeah, imagine how long ahead they started preparing for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the drone show that I mentioned during this Chinese New Year in Chongqing, for 15 minutes of performance, they need to spend 7 hours in preparation.
Well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, that's a whole day.
I thought it was going to be like 4 months.
Oh, but they put on like every day. If it's like 5,000
I'm such
people.
a jerk. What's wrong with me? Those are amazing to watch. So I mentioned Calgary. And I was teasing before saying, their festival wasn't that impressive, but it was still really cool to see because in the city of Calgary, they have like a Chinese cultural center there, and it was outside that they had some music and some vendors and dragon performance.
Lion dance.
Yeah, lion dance performance, and it was really cool. Everybody was having a great time. So there are plenty of places around the world where this festival is celebrated.
Yeah, for example, on February the 22nd this year, there's an art troupe who held a Lantern Festival Gala in Uqaydor that's attended by the Chinese Consul General and representatives of the local Chinese community. So this event featured singing, dancing, and instrumental performances. That one creates a joyful and festive atmosphere locally. So such celebrations not only kind of bring overseas Chinese communities together, but also it's such a good way to demonstrate our culture to people who is interested to become part of it. And I also watched a video that my boyfriend sent me. It's in Toronto, where it perhaps harbors one of the world's biggest Chinese communities locally. They had such fun there in the Chinatown, or outside of Chinatown, in usual streets and communities where people make sugar-coated fruits.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, tanghulu and all the other snacks. And of course, there's lion dance and all the other dancing and cultural shows. But you see people of different groups, different skin colors, attending and having fun together. That's the point of our celebration here.
Yes.
Having fun. And also for those who don't really have a Chinatown or a big Chinese celebration locally, they can also catch up on these performances and temple fairs online. For example, in Shanxi, they live streamed their temple fairs to international audience. They generated over 400 million views on short video platforms. So so viewers can still get a glimpse of how this fares and what the lanterns really look like.
Yeah, if you don't have a chance to go out, and we just explained a lot of different events and things that you can do to enjoy the festival, but if you don't have a chance to get out and enjoy it, grab a live stream if you can and do it that way. But if you can get out, I think it would be a much more immersive experience to see it. At the end of the day, though, I guess the Lantern Festival, it's not about the scale. It's not about, how many visitors you can get to one particular event. It's about sharing the experience together, sharing the light together, sharing your wishes for the new year together, and spending time with your family, your friends, or your loved ones. Really cool. You're listening to Roundtable and Yushan. Please do stay with us.
Zhuangzi, a great storyteller, making his point through incredible tales.
This is northern darkness. Here lived a mysterious fish.
Your Majesty, let me lead the charge. We'll snatch his people, take his horses, and strike down that king of...
So, my knife knows the way and never really touches the smallest ligament or tendon, not to mention...
An influential philosopher of Taoism absorbed the most part of Lao Tzu's legacy, which can be understood as a pursuit of simplicity.
Then we'll know that the concept of Tao, or the way, the truth, is not something transcending the world. It's everywhere, about the whole matterness.
His idea is still relevant in today's society, making our young minds think and discuss.
Of governance without action is central to this tale. It suggests that effective leadership is about minimizing intervention.
That's the idea of the story, but I don't agree with that. I still think that we need to take proactive measures and make a lot of effort.
Sage and youth debating Zhuangzi's Tao, where ancient wisdom and tales meet modern minds.
Hey there, global listeners. Get ready for the hottest discussions on the airwaves. Roundtable, your passport to the heart of China's buzzing society. Pressing issues, lifestyle trends, and impactful policies, we're tackling them head on, with wit, wisdom, and a whole lot of fun. Discover the real China through the eyes and voices of its people. Gain a unique global perspective and viewpoints that resonate universally. Tune in and turn up the excitement dial on Roundtable as we bridge gaps and break barriers one discussion at a time. Don't just listen, be transformed.
Discussion keeps the world turning.
This is Roundtable.
You're listening to Roundtable. I'm Steve Hatherley, today with Yushan and Feifei. Coming up, for many older Chinese citizens, the pursuit of a quality life now has a global dimension. Beyond the pursuit of material comfort lies a deeper desire for continued growth and self-discovery, leading an increasing number to embark on educational journeys abroad. Pretty cool, huh? These immersive experiences where seniors engage with new cultures through language and art are becoming more and more popular. We'll learn about it today. After that, you just crushed a massive meal and now you're feeling, so what do you do? Social media is full of these so-called fixes, kale to cancel the cake, workouts to wipe out the calories, but the truth is, much of it is nonsense. Some of it's even dangerous. So what actually works when your body's begging for a reset? Our podcast listeners can find us at Roundtable China on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget that we love to hear from you too, so send your thoughts our way. roundtablepodcast@qq.com. Once again, roundtablepodcast@qq.com. And now, retirement. For many, it's long been associated with a life of looking after their grandkids, maybe some square dancing in the evenings and attending local senior classes, a predictable routine confined to a few kilometers within your house. But lately in China, a growing number of retirees are shattering that stereotype. They're trading familiar comfort for the adventure of studying overseas, from art classes in the UK to culinary courses in France France. These silver-haired learners are not just traveling, they're embarking on a journey of self-discovery and lifelong learning. It is a growing trend. How is the study abroad industry adapting to cater, though, to this unexpected new group of learners? Are they at all? We're going to talk about that. And does it say anything about China's aging population and what they want when they say quality life? This is a really fun and interesting story to me. So where does this begin? It goes back, it's not brand new in 2026. I think it goes back about a year or so.
Yeah, since 2025, last year, there have been a lot of, in particular, agencies have been starting to exploring these silver-haired learners. So they launched a lot of services and tours and study clubs targeting these retirees instead of, traditionally the stereotype would be young people aged between 15 to 35.
Yeah, that's the kind of age for study abroad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But now for people aged above 50 or even 60s, they also want to explore overseas and see if there is a chance for them to be enrolled in a type of a university or any classes. We're not talking about a week time of short time classes. They could be staying for several months or even longer than that. And this is a growing trend because in 2025, there is a survey. They found that these study programs for these elderly range from 2 weeks to a year. They cost between 20,000 to 70,000 yuan, which is about up to 10,000 US dollars, and not including travel as well. And
that's just for the classes.
yeah, just for the classes. And an agency called EF estimates that by the year 2030, this senior education market could reach 1.2 trillion yuan. So we're talking about a business trend as well.
And these agencies, they are actively kind of studying these new, they call it the customer segments, featuring retirees with financial stability and also a strong desire to learn, that they see them as evolving from potential customer bases, the young people, into a key target group. So one of these agencies called ACG, which is an educational agency, it launched its Retirement Study Abroad Club after the 2025 Spring Festival. So the founder of this one, called Ziwen Li, who is by herself a retiree with international study experiences, this one, the club stems from her own insight into the unmet needs of silver-haired learners. So Ms. Zi said that Chinese universities, the domestic ones, they perhaps lack a little bit of systematic channels for retirees to return back to campus. And most study abroad agencies focus on young people nowadays, which is quite understandable. That's been the mainstream trend in China for many years. So this club, ACG, has since attracted over 50,000 members nationwide and helped 500 learners to enroll in universities around the world. So that's something that's going on with this one. Then another one called New Oriental Future Study Abroad. They also rolled out the TULIP program in the second half of 2025, which is also a program dedicated to overseas learning projects for mature groups, meaning the retiree group.
So this program in particular, they are offering to a lot of these retirees that seek in-depth experiences rather than academic degrees, which is understandable. I think after you retired in the age of 50s or 60s, it doesn't really matter if you have a master or doctorate degree. It's more about the experiences or things you actually learn for yourself.
Yeah, when you compare it to typical university and what young people go to university for, it's degree acquisition. But when you're older and you've retired already, you've already gone through your entire career, but you still want to learn some stuff. You go back to the stuff that you wanted to learn before but never had the opportunity to do.
Yeah, I have this example called Lilian Ru. She is 66 years old, and she joined more than 20 fellow students from across China for a 4-week art program in a university in the UK. So what she said is that instead of just traveling, just glimpsing, taking photos, and then leave to the next stop type of tour,
which is also great.
yeah, but these kind of study experiences can be highly intensive in learning. She tried 4 majors. You can see how active she is in learning. She tried fashion design, she tried printmaking, jewelry making, and photography. And then after class, she get the chance to explore the UK with her classmates and also make new friends who share her passion for art. And then even she started live stream after returning to China to promote this new lifestyle to others.
That's amazing. I mean, there's no pressure, right?
Yeah.
Young students have the pressure of getting a high score, but here number one, you want to learn, you want to be there. So you're a highly motivated student. But number two, I don't even know if they give out scores in these types of programs, because it's not like you're studying for any particular degree.
Yeah, and also you can, as the case that I just talked about, Lilian Wu, she can change her majors 4 times over the course of 4 weeks. So we can see it's more about experiences other than scores or certificates, or maybe she doesn't really plan to do anything in terms of, the skills she learned from fashion design or jewelry making. She probably may not be turned into a fashion designer
anytime soon. No.
Yeah, but it would be
With no desire to do that anyway.
That's the ideal case for learning, I would say.
Yeah, exactly, without all that pressure.
Yeah, I think it totally makes sense, because I was just sharing with Fei right before the show that back in the days while I was doing my master's in the UK, the majority of the class, I majored in translation and culture, by the way, the majority of our class were all under 30, if not 40 years old. Then there were 2 ladies, one from Russia, the other one, I can't remember where she's from, but both of them are above their 50s, if not 60s. And when you see younger students hang around in group activities and group tasks, these ladies, sometimes they feel as if they don't belong with any of the groups, but in the meantime, they also try actively hard to engage with whatever activity and assignments assigned to us, and they have the same passion shared with the rest of us. And finishing each and every step during that 1 year of master program, each quiz, each exam, each essay, or the dissertation in the final stage, they were just so focused in each and every one of these, just like the rest of us younger students.
Sure. They were there getting their master's degree,
yeah, that was
right?
a serious master degree. But the point of me mentioning this is because it's really hard for them, because they were there because they want to become a translator for so long, but they don't get to do it perhaps during their entire career. One of the Russian lady I know, she comes from finance background, so she just wanted to do something she liked after retired and after her kids are in university. So that's why she became enrolled as part of this program. But I guess it's not for everybody. For the majority, such as today's Chinese retirees, they're just looking for immersive experience rather than a whole long project that requires 1 year for them to just focus on.
So these are becoming more and more popular. And you said, Fei, that the times can vary a little bit, because I guess the agencies, is this fair to say, the agencies are adjusting to their customer base, and their customer base, they might want a few weeks, they might want a few months, so I guess there would be some different options available.
Yes, so most retirees like to choose short-term study programs lasting, as I mentioned before, from 2 weeks to 4. And according to this new Oriental company, their TULI program that Yushan talked about, over 95% of their participants opt for in-depth study experiences rather than long-term study programs.
So then,
I think this is true for a lot of different programs. The ones I was looking at too, I'll share those in a couple of minutes. The ones I was looking at, if you take a 2-week program, it's very intensive. And actually, you don't have a whole lot of time for self-discovery outside of the class, for example. But if you take a 4-week program, it's a little bit more relaxed. You spend...
it stretches out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So your day of learning is broken down into smaller chunks, I suppose. But the people with that particular program, they said they want to go and just dive straight in, huh?
Yeah, I think it also depends on the goals of you getting enrolled in these kind of programs. If you're really after learning about something, attaining some sort of skills, well, this comes from true passion, like Yushan shared about those 2 ladies wanting to be translator. And of course, they will choose more intense curriculum design and more study. But when you are just thinking about, I just want to give it a try, maybe explore the local culture a little bit, making some new friends, they could be up to spend more time and more relaxed when it comes to what kind of classes they're in.
Language is one of the things that some of the travelers or students, I don't know what to call them, traveling students, one of the things that they want to study, but language skills are not necessarily required. In the other example you were talking about, the ACG program, Yushan, so they have about 15 students per class, but they have full-time translators in the room.
Really nice. Cool.
Yeah, and teaching assistants too. So if your language skills aren't up to snuff, if you're in France or Italy or where have you, doesn't matter. They have a translator there for you, which is amazing. So that takes the pressure off too.
Yeah, and this brings these traveling students a whole experience of just getting immersed in knowledge and also bringing them the confidence and personal growth for them to realize this is how life can be. I can continue learning after retired. It's not like I'm just staying at home and taking care of kids, which brings to one of my big, I wouldn't say controversy, it's more like a question I have regarding this topic when I first see it. It's not like we're talking about it because it's happening all over China. Well, it is happening. It's a growing trend, apparently. But it's not like every Chinese family, every Chinese retiree is doing this.
Well, yeah, it's not cheap.
Right, precisely. And also, the majority of us, of the retired and over 50 and 60 silver-haired economy recipient parts, they're still, staying in China and they're still enjoying the domestic life as they do. It's not like we're trying to say that this is all of a sudden all of Chinese retirees are doing this. And in the meantime, I almost feel like, are we trying to promote this idea to them as well? Or how do you guys see?
Well, I think it's more about opening up the possibilities in the future.
Right.
If you have the financial capabilities to afford that and you feel like you really want to explore more about the world, you're not really satisfied with just staying in your own community, your own city, or even within your own country. You want to see other cultures, meet new friends, maybe speaking a different language friend. This would be a possibility, and there are channels for you to get this thing done.
Yeah, I see the business model quite sophisticated.
So I think, when we're talking about people are different. Some of them are more adventurous. Some of them are just quieter and like to stay within their comfort zone, and there is nothing wrong with that. But for people who look for adventures and want to see more, experience more, this is the channel that you can get.
The option is there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing because, of course, the argument would be, well, this is not for everyone because not everyone will be able to afford this. These programs are really, really expensive. The ones that I found from America, they have these in the States too, by the way. Also very expensive. For example, art and architecture in Barcelona, you can take a 2 or 4 week course there. You can take a wellness course in Bali in Indonesia. That's pretty cool. Again, 2 or 4 weeks. Another one that stood out was cuisine in Mexico City. Again, 2 or 4 weeks. But these are thousands of dollars. Thousands and thousands of dollars. So, it's not cheap. But I think it's true, too, that people, when they retire, Some people are very content, like you said, Fei-Fei, very content, staying within the community or staying within the country and playing golf or whatever your hobbies happen to be. But for other people who want to pursue this, the fact that the option is there and the fact that these companies are catering to these retirees when these programs wouldn't have even existed before, I think it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I remember when my dad retired. My dad was a school teacher for 34 years.
Impressive.
Yeah, never missed work, never missed a day of work. And really, really loved his career. And it was his first summer of retirement. And I came out we were at our cottage or the beach house, and I came out into the front area and I said, "What are you doing, Dad?" And he was on his hands and knees. He said, "Oh, I'm putting wheels on the bottom of the plants." And I said, "Why? And he said, "Well, I usually have to bend over to pick up the plant and carry it and put it down. Now I can just kick it." I said, "Oh my goodness, you need a hobby."
That's his hobby.
You need a hobby, buddy.
Practical hobby.
Putting wheels on plants. But my dad is one of those people. My parents would go to Florida for a few months every year. But he's one of those people. He wouldn't be interested in a Barcelona architecture course for 4 weeks. You couldn't convince him to go to that. But there are people who are into that type of thing.
That's my parents, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Like, my mom, after she retired, she's just looking for tours all the time. Every year, every couple of few months, she'll call me and like, "I'm going to this country next month." And I'm like, "Okay, good for you." But don't you feel like traveling too much maybe can be really tired because you join a tour group and they travel for 4 spots within a day? But she really, really enjoyed it because she said either before she retired, when she went to another destination, it's either for business or with a group of family. So she need to take care of them. And now she can really took the burden off, and she can really spend time looking at the architecture, listening to local people chatting, even though she may not understand them, enjoying the local cuisine, trying, for example, when she traveled to Italy, she tried to order a coffee by herself, even though she speaks no Italian at all, and her English.
How did that go?
It turned out really great because everybody's really friendly when seeing her trying very hard and trying to figure out what kind of coffee she wants to enjoy. And that really opened up a new window for her. She was really intimidated about traveling because you're like, oh, it's a different country, it's a different culture, it's a different language.
Really intimidating.
Yeah, what if I get lost? Who should I turn to for help? I didn't speak the language, and it just feels like very scary experience. But now she's more brave, and I think for a lot of people who are sort of on the fence of should I go out, should I just stay in my comfort zone, this is the place that you can really just try a little bit for 2 weeks. Maybe it's fine for you.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, for me, the idea of traveling to a new country was never scary or intimidating. And the idea that something might be new, or I might get lost, or I might not understand what words are being spoken to me, always made me feel curious. Not everybody feels like that. I remember before I moved to Korea, right before I moved, my mom put about 40 boxes of toothpaste in my suitcase. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I said, Mom, Korean people brush their teeth, I'm pretty sure." And she's like, "Well, I don't know if you can get this brand there." And my dad's out putting wheels on the plants. And it's like, but that's what I mean. The concept of like a country that's very far away with foods that are unfamiliar or languages that are unfamiliar is really scary for a lot of people. So coming back to this topic, if there can be translators in the classrooms, if there can be guides that are there to help with the experience, I think this is just such a wonderful thing. And this is what I mean. Of course, it's wonderful for the individuals that are taking part in these programs, but I think it's more important for those individuals to come back to China and share their hopefully positive experiences with other people and say, actually, getting out there and like challenging yourself and trying new things is not as terrifying as you think it is.
Yeah.
In your brain, it's 100 times worse than what you actually experience.
And this is the time when I recommend to Feifei's mom a translation earbud.
Yeah.
It works magically.
We're getting so spoiled these days, though. It's just making things a little bit too easy, I feel.
Yeah, but technology can help. Imagine about 5 years ago even, you go to a different country, you need to make sure everything is working on my phone, or I need to place an order for a digital translator. Otherwise, if I need help, for example, especially in medical help, I can get things done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true. That's an important point. Safety first. All right. So where is this market heading then? Obviously, the opportunity exists for some really special experiences. Are they expecting the market to grow in the future? Is it going to get bigger?
Yeah, definitely. These agencies, they're looking at these huge market potential for this group. So the president of the New Oriental Future Study Abroad pointed out that about 20 million people retire in China every year. And even if only 1% of them have demand for studying abroad, it will form a large market for these agencies and also a good opportunity for these retirees. So for studying abroad agencies, Silver Hair Study Abroad may as well just become more than just a supplementary business in the future.
And also it can be an inspiration for domestic, educational institutions. They don't have such programs right now.
Build them.
Yes. After seeing this trend, opening up new programs targeting these 50, 60 plus retirees will be another thing.
Last very quick question, quick answer. What program and where in the world would you go? Retirement program.
Oh my gosh, I want to be a dramatug or a director for stage drama.
Ooh, which country?
Maybe in the UK.
Okay.
I want to go to France, study culinary.
Well, that was my answer.
Sorry, Steve.
We're going to take the same class.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be a competition there. Yeah, that's the dream for a lot of people, I think, right? Learn how to cook professionally. These programs sound like a whole lot of fun. All right, that'll do it for today's Roundtable. Thanks very much for sharing your time with us today. I'm Steve for Feifei and Yushan. Have a good one, and join us again next time.
GTN Radio. Hear the difference.
Now the news, I'm Zhao Yang. China's permanent representative to the UN says the country condemns all attacks targeting children. Fu Tong made the remarks at a meeting held by the Security Council on Children, Technology and Education and Conflict.
加强儿童保护是首要任务。
Strengthening protection on children is a top priority. China strongly condemns all attacks targeting children and urges all parties to conflicts to assume their obligations under international humanitarian law, protect the children from the ravages of war, and preserve the bottom line of humanity's conscience. Attacking schools is one of the 6 grave violations against children identified by the UN, which should be sternly condemned and firmly rejected.
Fu also called for robust investigations and accountability on incidents harming children and destroying schools. Search operations have ended at a primary school in Minab, southern Iran, struck during U.S.-Israeli military strikes. Iranian authorities say 165 people were killed. Russian President Vladimir Putin has criticized the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran, saying they have disrupted efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution of the Iranian nuclear issue. In a phone call with his UAE counterpart, Putin described the strikes as an unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign United Nations member state, saying they violate fundamental principles of international law.
Member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization have expressed grave concern over the attack on Iran, stressing that dialogue remains the only viable path to resolving the conflict. The SCO urged all sides to exercise restraint and immediately halt actions that could further escalate tensions. U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. military campaign against Iran is capable of going far longer than 4 to 5 weeks. Earlier, Trump told the New York Post that he is not ruling out sending U.S. ground troops into Iran if they were necessary. The U.S. Central Command said 6 U.S. service members have died in the attacks against Iran. The United States and Israel began massive airstrikes against Iran on Saturday. A newly released CNN poll shows that 59% of U.S. citizens disapprove of the U.S. decision to take military actions against Iran. The poll, conducted by SSRS, was fielded shortly after U.S. and Israeli forces launched the strikes. 60% of the respondents said they do not think U.S. President Donald Trump has a clear plan for handling the situation, and 62% said he should get congressional approval for any further military action. The latest poll was released one day after a Reuters Ipsos poll showed that 43% of U.S. citizens opposed the strikes on Iran. Israeli military has reportedly struck a building housing the El Manar channel studios in Beirut's southern suburbs, following an evacuation warning. The Israeli military says it targeted Hezbollah command centers and weapons storage facilities in Beirut. The strike follows Hezbollah missile and drone attacks on northern Israel, prompting waves of Israeli airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs and southern Lebanon. In a statement early Tuesday, Hezbollah described its firing of rockets as a reaction to Israeli aggression. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry says the U.S. embassy in Riyadh was hit by 2 drones. It said the drone attack resulted in limited fire and material damage. Previous reports said loud explosions were heard in Riyadh's diplomatic quarter. A senior Iranian military advisor says the country's armed forces will not let any oil be exported through the Strait of Hormuz. The advisor said the country's armed forces will take action against any movement by oil tankers through the strait. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it launched 26 drones and 5 ballistic missiles at U.S. military targets in the Gulf region on Monday. China Media Group will stage a Lantern Festival gala on Tuesday evening, celebrating the spirit of joy, harmony, and reunion. With song and dance, traditional opera, comedy sketches, crosstalk, and magic, the show aims to bring festive cheer to Chinese communities worldwide and friends across the globe. And that's the news. I'm Zhao Ying.
Home health and personal care aides are expected to be the fastest growing new jobs in the USA for the next 10 years.
Welcome to The Bridge, enlightening conversations on world cultures, life, and everything in between. Hey everyone, this is Jason Smith, host of The Bridge podcast from sunny California. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe. We love The Bridge. Hey everyone, I'm Jason Smith, originally from sunny California, now living in beautiful Beijing. Today with me is Alex Scher.
Hello everybody, this is Alex. I'm also in the very beautiful city of Beijing with Jason.
While home health and personal care aides may grow the most new jobs, information system managers, nurses, and programmers, while growing fewer jobs, are more likely to pay a lot more. Alex, I'm curious, in China, what kind of jobs do young professionals seek? What are the kids talking about? What do they want to do?
I think the traditional jobs are still very popular, jobs that are kind of traditionally viewed as an occupation that will give you a high social status, in finance, in medical care. People still want to be a doctor, like what do you call those finance people that work for these big companies. But then there are, of course, new jobs in artificial intelligence and, anything that's data related. And then there are some new occupations that are not traditionally viewed as super, decent, but they pay really well. For example, there are a lot of people who have become professional organizers for your houses. Like they come in, you've heard of these people, right? They come in and then they tidy up your closet, they take off all their clothes, and then there's a system that they follow that make your entire closet very organized and you can find anything, and then they charge a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple of my friends use the services and they make pretty good money, and it's not like hiring a cleaning person to come in. No, this is a method. There's a way. There's a lot of young people that are professional, like what do you call them? Hospital caregivers, but they don't work in the hospital.
What?
They take you to the hospital. They're not doctors, they're not nurses.
They accompany people to the hospital.
Yes, because there are a lot of people who, for example, their kids are not around, or they just don't have kids and they're a little older. Or, for example, if I live alone, I live in another city and I just don't have people that could go to the hospital with me, I could hire these people to take me to the hospital, help me run to, pay the bills, get the test results, and take me home afterwards. There's a lot of those. And of course, anything robot related and then, new media related are still very popular jobs and in high demand.
Wow, that's fascinating. I think there is some crossover. I think also management jobs, probably middle management, upper management, people want to do that. But what's really fascinating to me is that in the United States, the healthcare system is really bloated. That's a really excellent, kind of description, because there are a lot of really overpaying jobs in that sphere, but at the same time, Americans are demanding change. So when I read that healthcare jobs are expected to grow fast and pay well, I'm also wondering at what point will Americans have had enough and completely redesign the system? And does that mean that there will be lower pay for caregivers in the future? I don't know. And also we have robots coming in, right? So for accompanying you to the hospital, would you be okay with a humanoid going with you?
No.
No.
No. I need emotional support when I go to the hospital, right? Not just someone.
There, Alex. It will be okay.
No, I don't want that voice. I need a human.
Oh, it could. They got really great human voices. It could sound like your mom.
Oh God, no. Please don't let it sound like my mom. I'll be very nervous. My mom will be like, "Why do you have a cough?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know."
Well, I mean, we have the concern that AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. I'm not actually was worried about AI replacing jobs, because I think people need to do things, physically do things. In jobs, a lot of jobs require people to physically do things. And, all this stuff, talk about Manus and other companies, they're not really replacing workers, they're just like augmenting work. So, but I am actually concerned in 5 years where humanoid robots will be, because a lot of physical labor can be replaced by humanoid robots with enough training. Like right now, everyone's like, oh, just become a plumber, become a carpenter. Well, yeah. Really? You think? I'm not so sure those jobs are safe, because once a humanoid robot can do it, a plumbing company could hire 10 robots, teach them all the plumbing ins and outs really effectively, and then send them nonstop 24 hours a day going around doing work. It might not be the safe job that people think it is. So I think technology is changing so fast that what we think is safe now may not be safe later. I went to speak with Unitree.
Nice.
I was standing there talking with some of their leadership, and I assumed that there were a few hundred robots sold. And they said they've already sold tens of thousands of Unitree robots. Now, these robots are not going to replace humans. The ones that they've sold so far primarily are for entertainment and like personal toys, and maybe you put one in front of your cafe to draw attention, and you put some stickers on it or make some videos or whatever. But tens of thousands, think about how fast Chinese iterations are. We could be looking at 2 years from now, millions. you know. And there are technology companies that they can already do stuff like wash the dishes and fold your clothes and stuff. So 20 years, that's optimistic. I think it's going to be much closer to 2 or 3 years. You know, there's so much competition in this field now. There are just dozens of different companies like going in right now. It's going to be fast. It's going to be really, really, really fast. And I'm going to name mine Rosie because I'm totally going to have it do the chores. My wife and I, you know.
Yeah, I do have a name ready. I don't want to.
What's the name? What's the name?
It's not that exciting. It's Sparky.
Sparky. Oh, like a dog.
No, Sparky.
Well, Sparky, yeah, like the dog. Like a dog. We call
Sparky, like Spark. There's a Spark. Sparkle.
Spark. Yeah, Spark. Sparky, that's a dog name.
Is that a dog name? I don't know. Okay, fine.
It's totally. Yeah. Well, anyway, Rosie comes from the Jetsons. You know, like, have you ever seen the Jetsons? It's an old from like 1970s, 80s about the future. And the future family, the Jetsons, they have a robot named Rosie who cleans the house and cooks dinner. So I was like, oh, I want mine to be called Rosie after the Jetsons.
Okay. Isn't that a little, you know, it's a name of a robot. You gave it to a robot. Don't you want to give it a non-robot name?
I want to get a little picture of Rosie and stick it on my robot so that my robot has personal psychological issues about not looking quite like Rosie.
Oh, God. And I just look, I'm okay with having